Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and we're getting ever closer to that most exciting time of the year as Falcom fans, outside of playing the games obviously, which is the annual shareholder meeting. Why is that exciting? Because that's where we get to hear about the big new releases and plans that Falcom have for 2026. And it's one of the more interesting ones in recent years, as there's plenty of speculation as to what might be under the cover. Before we begin, we will be touching on later Trails games, so I'll put a spoiler warning here, and I will also state that, as always, this is speculation. I am not an insider. I do like to guess what some of these reveals may be based on the information we have available, but the confirmation will only come once that shareholder meeting has happened come December. That is when everything becomes concrete. This is more for people to come together and discuss what they believe is on the cards before the main event. With that done, let's dive in. In short, Falcom have now moved away from doing one big release a year, or at least this is their long-term aim. When we're talking about big releases, we're referring to their projects excluding ports. It's the headline release, the one that draws all the eyes. And the headline release for many years was just one game, like Hajimari no Kiseki, Ys 10, and so on. Falcom stuck to a release schedule of one big title per year until 2025. 2025 was the pilot of them moving away from that, as they announced that this year was going to see the release of both Sky First Chapter and Ys 10 Proud Nordics, and they noted that they had many other games in development at the end of 2024. Irrespective of Proud Nordics essentially being an enhanced version of the base game with some added content, Kondo made it clear that 2025 was always intended as a test to see if Falcom could handle an increased release frequency, and the amount of games they have in active development would suggest they intend to see it through. The big question then is trying to decide what those games may be. Now, it's worth noting that this is all referring to Japanese releases, not the Western ones, which often come out at different times. This year was the first time we got a worldwide Neon Falcom release with Sky First Chapter. Normally we have to wait for them. Saying that, in recent years the gap has been closing, and by early 2026 we will be officially caught up with everything that Japan has in terms of Falcom's latest releases. Trails Beyond the Horizon will be coming out in January 2026, Ys 10 Proud Nordics will be releasing in early 2026. That will be everything that the West has been missing, and there has been an effort in recent times to get the games out quicker. Falcom openly stated that they now share the script with a localization partner before it is finished, which was a big obstacle to those worldwide releases. The aim stated back then was that Falcom wanted no more than a year between the Japanese and Western releases, and that might have even shrunk more over the course of 2025. So what we're seeing for 2026 releases will likely be seen quite quickly in the West too, as we no longer have problems like a cross-bell shaped hole to fill in. We're at parity now. But it is worth noting because the chances are still likely that we in the West will need to wait longer. So once again, all this information relates to the Japanese release of the games. Now recently, Falcom put up pre-orders for their 2026 calendar, and it got a few people a buzz because two images were missing for September and November, and that could have been a hint that we were getting two releases in 2026. This is exactly what happened last year too. The 2025 calendar was missing images, and only after the shareholder meeting was it completely filled in. It's sod's law really, because as I was writing up my notes for this video and compiling information, one of those images was revealed, and it was the collaborative artwork that Katsumi Inami provides for the yearly calendars. He normally has at least one bit of artwork included, and it makes sense that he did a cross-spell themed one as it's the 15th anniversary of Zero's release. Even still, I do believe that Falcom will release two games next year. They appear to have committed to this, and there doesn't seem to be any suggestion from Falcom themselves that it's too much for them to handle. So if we're taking that train of thought, what could those two games be? The most likely are three possibilities. That's the next game in the Trails series that follows Horizon, the Sky SC remake, and finally Tokyo Xanadu sequel. Is it possible that we could get all three in 1 year? I've seen stranger things, but that would be the last thing I'd expect, simply because of Falcom's size. The latest report is that they have around 70 employees, and not every employee is a developer. Doing 3 games in 1 year for such a small team would be pushing it. I still think 2 games in 1 year is pushing it. But Falcom know their own capabilities better than I do. Still, I'm sticking with the assumption that we get 2 games and the final one gets pushed to 2027. Now, my personal guess before Sky First Chapter even released was that we will get the sequel to Trails Beyond the Horizon and the Tokyo Xanadu sequel. That hasn't changed. I still think that is what we will be getting in 2026, with Sky SC's remake pushed to 2027. The sequel to Horizon makes the most sense to me. Even though Sky First Chapter brought in a lot of new players and did what it needed to do, the simple truth is that Trails Beyond Horizon has already been out since late 2024 for Japanese fans. If they don't get the next Trails game in 2026, they will most likely voice their displeasure. And it seems likely too, because back in September this year, alongside pretty much confirming that Sky's second chapter was getting a remake, Kondo confirmed that the sequel to Horizon was being developed alongside Sky First Chapter, and it stands to reason then that if it's had 2 years of development by 2026, it will most likely be one of the games coming out. The only evidence that really goes against this is that Falcom are taking the series more slowly as they near the climax of the Trails series, but I only expect that to become more pertinent within that final stretch, as Falcom decide how they want to end it. So Horizon's sequel is basically a given as far as I'm concerned, which leaves Sky SC's remake and Tokyo Xanadu's sequel. Now the hint of what that could be has been given through these calendar images, as originally the Tokyo Xanadu sequel was included for the 2026 variant, to later be removed. It is worth mentioning that it is still tagged on the product listing too. So this suggests one of two things. Either the Tokyo Xanadu sequel isn't ready yet and they want to remove it as there's no guarantee it will come out, which is definitely possible as it's being made from the ground up and that naturally takes more time, or it is going to be coming out in 2026 and they have new artwork which they want to reveal after the shareholder meeting concludes. I'm leaning more towards the latter situation simply because Tokyo Xanadu sequel was included in the 2025 calendar, so it does seem strange that it has been outright removed for 2026. The only reasons I can think for them doing that are either for that big reveal come December, or more worryingly, they have nothing more to show of it a year later, and if there's been no more progress on Tokyo Xanadu over the past year, that would be a shock. On the other side, Sky SC's remake is a real possibility too, and that does make sense if Falcom feel there is an opportunity to capitalise on. They could certainly prioritise the remake of Sky's second chapter if they want to ride the wave that first chapter gave them. Many of us are aware of that teaser trailer at the end of Sky First Chapter. Sequels normally don't take as long to make as most of the assets are done, and in the case of second chapter, the script is complete. It's only about replicating it in Falcom's engine, so we can't write that off either. Yet there is also one more release we might need to consider here. Let's go back to the list that was shared at the end of 2024, which gave us a full rundown of games that Falcom were working on. This was provided by Gamatsu and updated by them to fill in some blanks. The PS5 ported title is no longer a mystery. Those were the August releases of Cold Steel 3, Cold Steel 4 and Reverie in Japan, so you can tick that one off too. So that leaves a new Trails title, which could indeed be Sky's second chapter or Horizon's sequel. The new East title, which we are aware is in the very early stages of development, so I wouldn't expect that till around 2027 at least. And then finally this mystery title D, which is the point we will focus on. The likely case is that it's not an East or Trails title, as that would have been stated. It's not the Tokyo Xanadu sequel, as that is Title C. So in other words, Title D is potentially a completely new IP. And as far as I've seen this year, we have not had any updates on it. So is it possible that this could be coming out in 2026? I don't think so, for the simple reason that we would have heard something about it by now, so that one gets pushed to 2027 or beyond. In summary, I'm thinking 2026 will see Horizon sequel and Tokyo Xanadu sequel, 2027 will see the Sky SC remake alongside probably the new East title if I were to hazard a guess, and 2028 will see this new IP alongside the game that follows Horizon's sequel. That's all conjecture though, it's guesswork. I'm as much in the dark as you guys are on this, but it's a guess made on the information that we already know. Heck, it could be the biggest bluff ever, and Falcom might even revert to their tried and tested one release a year again. Of course, the confirmation of what those releases are will be revealed in December, maybe even a little before that, as Falcom often provide a report before the shareholder meeting detailing their plans anyway. But that is it guys, not too long till we see what Falcom have in store, and no matter what those games are, I'll be looking forward to them regardless.